not through distant galaxies or the depths of the human psyche this time, but into a realm equally alien and profoundly arresting, the world of sexual cannibalism in the animal kingdom. It's a subject at once grisly and poetic. It's primal and strangely purposeful. It asks us to abandon many of our cherished notions about love, sex, and survival, and instead witness the raw, unvarnished strategies that evolution has carved into flesh over millions of years. This isn't just a tale of mating, but of hunger, dominance, sacrifice, and death. It's a tale that plays out in silk-spun webs, beneath the leaf litter, and in the glistening waters of distant seas. A tale that makes us question whether the price of life is sometimes another life entirely. Now, when most people think of mating in the animal kingdom, they envision courtship displays, the bright plumage of birds, the elaborate dances of cuttlefish, the calls of frogs on a pond. And rightly so. The natural world is filled with stunning spectacles designed to woo and to win. But for a select and rather notorious group of species, the conclusion of mating isn't a gentle retreat. It's not a slow post-coital unwind, but rather the beginning of a deadly ritual. In these creatures, sex and death aren't opposites. They're twins. Let's start with the world of spiders, because it's here that sexual cannibalism is probably best known, and I'd argue the most theatrical. Take the Black Widow. Her name, so loaded with myth and menace, isn't a misnomer. The female is large, powerful, and highly venomous. The male, in contrast, is diminutive and frail, a creature who needs to approach with utmost caution as though he's traversing a minefield. And in many cases, once he's done what nature drives him to do, once he has successfully transferred his sperm, his fate is sealed. The female may turn on him in a sudden flash of violence, immobilizing him in silk, consuming him, often beginning with the head. So, why, we might ask, does she do this? The answers are complex. Some suggest that the male provides a convenient, protein-rich meal at a time when the female needs resources to produce healthy eggs. In a world where survival is precarious and hunting is unpredictable, a nutritious partner might be the most valuable gift of all. Others point out that cannibalism can be a kind of mate selection, sort of a test of fitness. Only the most agile, the most cautious, the most genetically valuable males can manage to mate and survive. In this grim lottery, death is the cost of mediocrity. The redback spider, a close cousin to the Black Widow, takes this to new extremes. Males of this species actually encourage sexual cannibalism. During copulation, the male performs a somersault to position his abdomen directly over the female's fangs. She bites him, begins to consume him, and yet he continues mating. He is dedicated to the act. In fact, research has shown that males who sacrifice themselves in this way tend to sire more offspring. It's as if death isn't the end, so absolute that it ends in annihilation. Moving on, we encounter the praying mantis, a creature whose name belies her savagery. She's elegant, her body is a living blade, her posture is one of contemplative stillness. But this stillness is an illusion. For the male mantis, courtship is perilous, and sex is often fatal. As he mounts the female, she may turn her head and begin to eat him, sometimes starting with his eyes, sometimes starting with the thorax. Remarkably, the male may continue mating even after decapitation, his body driven by autonomic reflexes to complete the act. Some scientists believe that this is no accident, that the act of being eaten suppresses the male's instinct to flee, prolonging copulation and increasing the chances of successful fertilization. So, in this sense, death isn't a failure, but a strategy. But not every instance of sexual cannibalism is so one-sided. In the underwater world, where vision is limited and touch is paramount, we find the deep-sea anglerfish. These creatures inhabit a realm of perpetual darkness, where finding a mate isn't just difficult, it's nearly impossible. And so, evolution has provided a grisly solution. When a tiny male anglerfish finds a female, often many times larger than himself, he latches onto her with his teeth. Over time, his body actually fuses with hers. His organs atrophy, his eyes degenerate. He loses all independence. Eventually, he becomes little more than a pair of gonads permanently attached to the female's body, ready to supply sperm on demand. This isn't cannibalism in the conventional sense, obviously, but it is a kind of consumption. His identity is absorbed. His life becomes entirely subordinate to hers. It's a parasitic love, a literal merging of two into one. What drives these behaviors? The answers are embedded in the relentless calculus of evolution. In harsh environments, or in species where males vastly outnumber females, the expendability of the male becomes a feature as opposed to a flaw. If a male's chances of mating are slim, it makes sense, biologically speaking, to invest everything into a single all-or-nothing encounter. And if his body can provide nourishment that aids in the survival of his offspring, so much the better. In many of these species, males aren't expected to live long anyway. Their role is brief. Their purpose is singular. But sexual cannibalism isn't always predictable. In some spiders, it's context dependent. A well-fed female may spare her mate. A hungry one may not be so lucky. Environmental stressors, prey availability, even the presence of predators nearby can tip the balance. In some cases, males have evolved elaborate courtship rituals to avoid becoming dinner. They offer gifts, flies wrapped in silk, for example, to distract the female during copulation. Some even tie down the female's legs with silk to immobilize her. It's a strange sort of bondage, not born of dominance, but really of desperation. Others use rapid mating strategies, transferring their sperm in seconds before just fleeing for their lives. In these creatures, love is truly a battlefield. We might be tempted to see these acts through a moral lens, to view the female as success for both parties. The female gains sustenance. The male, in his sacrifice, increases the viability of his genetic legacy. It's a cruel pact, but it is a functional one. Even among species where cannibalism is less common, echoes of this dynamic exist. In certain fish and amphibians, the larger females may eat smaller males after mating. And some insects, males are so driven to reproduce that they'll approach a female even if she's just consumed another suitor. The smell of death just does not deter them, may even arouse them. In these moments, we glimpse the raw imperative that drives all life to pass on one's genes no matter the cost. And so we come to the question, what does sexual cannibalism tell us? Not just about the species that practice it, but about life itself. It tells us that evolution isn't sentimental. It tells us that the drive to reproduce can override the drive to live. It tells us that sacrifice, true physical sacrifice, is embedded deep within the animal kingdom, sometimes even as a reproductive advantage. And it forces us to confront the fact that love, or at least its biological analog, isn't always gentle. Sometimes it's brutal, sometimes it's fatal. But in a strange way, it's also beautiful. There's something awe-inspiring about a creature so devoted to its purpose that it offers itself up entirely. Something haunting in the idea that one's final act can be an offering, not just of sperm or genes, but of life, of being. In the world of the redback, the mantis, the anglerfish, mating isn't a dance, it's a crucible. And in that crucible, the self is consumed, sometimes literally, in service of something greater. So, don't flinch, don't turn away from these macabre rituals. Instead, let's see them for what they are. Nature